Who's calling?
So it's, my screen tells me meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Good.
You should double check that it's Town of Pine Plains,
Yep.
and then,
Who's calling?
all right, so that's delayed.
my
My screen tells me meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Yeah.
All right, I just have to get you back here. How's that?
That's good. I can just see Heather. And I'm gonna see if it's streaming live. And then I'll mute myself and just do the recording and let in.
All right. I think we're good.
Oh, well done.
Jared, do you want these doors down here open or kind of?
It's fine with me, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Is the only way out.
Thank you, Michael. How are you doing, Ariel? All right. We don't get comfy chairs. Do you want comfy chairs? Well, no, not as an issue. Not an issue. We have. Well, no, they can't complain the same way. No, but nobody's up here. So once we use them for the next week, it gets cleared from the, but, yeah. So, Alice and I have been kind of working on the Zoom. And it is live right now. So, you know.
And I am checking it to see if I can see it live.
Well, good thing we didn't do it on Zoom with all the extra people. How are you?
You are on Zoom, actually.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just saying.
You're live on YouTube, just so you know. Well, I have.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you have to come cool?
I just said that, and I know.
So I'm recording.
That's fine, I don't want to listen to you either.
Oh, so Sarah, geese. Is that something that we should be looking to tag? Because
Good, how are you?
looking well. I don't. How we think. I mean, it's just.
See that?
Yes, we have been doing.
Yeah.
I'll email him and I'll ask him what average was, because in the, right? Yeah, like average, yeah.
Sarah,
Yeah.
can you hear me? If you're far enough away, can you take off your masks? It's really just a garble.
Garble? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad audio. It's echoey and,
How about when one was speaking, the person speaking will take the mask off?
that would help.
I feel okay with that. Okay, that works for me.
Might just be conversion too. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, this room is always that way. And I open the windows for cross ventilation.
What's that? Good. How are you? Good. Good here. You think we'll get some of the public here?
Don, you want that?
You want one chair or you want?
I got you.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better? There? There, want a better chair?
There it is. There it is.
I want one that can be washed off.
could still be said.
Come on, you waited to say that, so like.
There's white salt, sanitizer spray, snow, white snow sand.
And you're still out.
Really stimulated the economy.
All right, one more minute and we'll get started here. We are. Oh, yeah, we'll be hopefully done much. I don't think this will take long. My kids just showed up at the house.
You guys have to vote on that one?
It's my anniversary.
All right, well, so when we speak, we can take our masks off. All right, because they can't hear.
Oh, okay.
I'll call this meeting to order. This is a budget workshop. So, I think this is like here. Okay, great. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so I thought I would start just by explaining to maybe somebody watching the film or live what this workshop is about quickly, and then I'll get into sort of what I've done, what you see in front of you. Okay. This is the tentative budget. So the tentative budget is like the first draft, and it is a wish list as much as anything. So some of these numbers can be changed, and these numbers come from all the different departments. So just to refresh people's memories, there are numerous budgets that come in, but the big ones are the districts. And the districts are going to be the water, the lighting, in addition to the town and the highway. And those are our big four budgets that we kind of have to work with around the other smaller budgets of the little departments like recreation or town clerk, whatever other departments there are. After this meeting, we will go into executive session to talk about salaries. So we won't talk about salaries here. And all right.
But can you just let them know that the salaries are public information? That
They will be.
At the end of the whole.
They will be, yes, but I have not even posted the tentative
Okay.
because it's tentative and I don't want to get into that. Okay. So, let's see, is there anything else I forgot? Water, oh yes, and the fire department is a separate district, and that budget will be coming to us from the fire department as soon as they're done with it. So I'm assuming we'll have it for the October meeting.
And it's important for the public to understand that town board has no control over the fire department's budget.
Okay.
It's a separate budget and they levy their taxes.
Okay. So, I wanted to mention a few things that are just, you know, about where we are as a town. We have about, I'm just trying to think about, we have about $2 million in our fund balance. This is spread between highway and the town and the water department. So the town has about, I think they each have about 600 and 600 for the highway, 400 for the water department. Which is something I want to talk about tonight, and just telling the board that, we have enough saved to do the next 82. We cannot prepay the bond on the second, leg of the water pipe. Because the contract, the bond, will not let us. I finally found the bond. It says you cannot prepay. So I was hoping we could because it's at a 4% interest rate, but we can't. So, you know, if we were to choose, we could pay for that last leg of the 382. So I just want to bring that up and make, you know, maybe something for discussion later in the year. It's not something we have to do or do now.
What is our fund balance in the water district?
It's 400 is the fund balance, and then Ray's, you know, he's got his own budget that he's dealing with. But in terms of saved money, we have 400.
How much is it?
400.
So
Yeah, it might be 425 or something like that, but it's around 400. So that's just something for the future. And so, all right. So what you have in front of you is the tentative. And what I did this year was adhere to the tax cap, which is also conveniently inflation rate. So it's 1.58%. And I use that as our number for the taxes. And what you see here, almost every department just kept their same budget as last year. I asked for that, everybody complied. The justice, the court is actually quite a bit less than it was last year because they're not going to be doing trainings. Let's see. So what you will see in the first page, those are all revenues.
You think the 2021 tentative non-property tax distribution by county could go well above that number? Is that the sales tax?
That's sales tax. I don't know. This is the number that's the worry. So at first they told us to count on 40% and it would be this year, but we're fine. We're actually above the 150 this year.
well, because it's the sales tax, we're gonna be innocent.
That's what I think.
Yeah, well, that's it.
That should be improved to 2021.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
except statewide, the sales taxes are down, something like 11%, they are down.
Yeah. So I mean, it's rather hard to figure out. We're up. We're fine. Now, one of the things is that the town gets paid. You know, they pay the county makes sure, and the state makes sure the towns get paid. So that's.
Do we expect, or, you know, we budgeted, we think 150 to come in this calendar year? Doesn't seem like there's going to be an extra $50,000 or $7,000 this year. Also,
we're already above.
We're going to be a little bit above the 150.
only. Okay.
Yeah. We're not going to be more than, so because the third quarter hasn't come in. So I'm counting on that.
But won't we get a third and fourth quarter?
No, we won't get the fourth quarter comes in next year. It's very strange how it works. Yeah. Comes in like in February.
Are you saying that the county cannot repurpose sales tax money and decide to use it for something other?
Correct. Towns, yes. Towns always get paid. And the taxes always get paid to the towns. So that,
Doesn't the county make the decision on what we're going?
no. No, it's a percentage.
There was one year where they changed it.
They
they
changed
had
our
not,
basic
they
six
didn't
o'clock
get
in the
money,
city.
so don't ever say never.
Right.
Never, what?
Yeah.
Say,
Well,
this is what I've been told. Yeah, exactly.
So, I've been promised this, because I ask this question constantly to make sure I understand it. It's very complex. But that's what they told me. And yes, if people get into difficulty paying their taxes, we still get paid. It's the county that it eats it a little bit. We have to go after foreclosing. We do not foreclose. The county does. And there's a moratorium on that right now, so. But at any rate, we also, the other piece of information is we've had a bunch of houses built and in process of building in the last year, really, but mainly in the last 6 months. So that's going to help out our tax base a fair amount, because these are major places. And that just means more people are paying the same amount of money.
I don't know, it means that some people's taxes actually go down.
They go
Because
down.
suddenly there's newly
Even
built
though the
property.
budget didn't go down, some people's taxes will go down.
Yeah.
Because their taxes have been added to other inventory.
That would be a nice thing for us to know. We the board could share with the town every time $1 million property is built, what impact that has.
Yeah, the assessors have that,
And then
obviously.
the other thing is that as there's been a lot of sales, and as the sales happen, the assessors reappraise changes values of certain kinds of properties. So that also, but that can add to your tax burden. If you have that type of house and sell it for a lot more than what your house is assessed for, because your house is gonna get reassessed constantly.
Well,
Higher now.
hope that's not exactly how it works, but hopefully, as soon as that transaction happens with sale, it's only that property that would go up in value. The neighbors who have people.
No, it's not the neighbors, it's not the neighbors. It's equivalent properties. It's your properties, yes, it's your comparable properties, and they do it by height. Like some years, ranch houses will go up, some years colonials will go up. Some years, houses with additional acreage will, and it depends on what markets do it, it's all based on markets.
Like last year,
Market value.
the ranch houses went up 9%. Because I have one, so that's up. And then I think Jim told me that log cabins went up 14%. You know,
Did any type of home go down?
I don't remember.
That they
Old farmhouse.
did? That's it.
All right, so, you know, it feels like what pays off for us is being small. Frankly, our services are few and controllable. We're not overextended in terms of personnel. So many cities and towns have had, you know, lay people off, and we only have one person in most of the positions, so. And almost everybody's part-time. So there's that. I thought I would point out, so it's the second page where expenditures start.
You want to take us through notable changes?
Right, that's what I thought I would do, and I'm kind of looking down the list. My funny little thing here. There's a little bit of a change on the attorney contractual line. That's just you know, it's in keeping with what is reality as opposed to, sort of where we were the last 2 years, which went over. So, if you look at buildings, that, figure 170 for 2020 is the repair at the highway garage, which we still haven't bid out yet. So I'm hoping we bid it out and get it going this year, but I don't know what's gonna happen. But that's why you see that. So, you know, we might have to carry that over for this next year if we don't do that. And we might want to think about whatever the next repair is. But I don't have a bid for that. Actually, I probably do in my book. Data processing, check that out, 1680.4. This is one of our biggest expenses at the office. And this includes the webmaster, the guy that is our new IT guy. In particular, the police have needed a lot of IT help because of the, first of all, the bail reform required all new computers and all new software, a whole lot of stuff this year.
But
And
the discovery
yeah,
requires them to copy it,
yeah,
or they send it in, or someone has to be copied, so it can be sent.
yeah.
It's a lot.
So it requires all kinds of new stuff and the person who knows how to install it and then help us when it goes. Yeah. So we have a new company helping us, been terrific so far. And I just sort of adjusted that number to predict a similar year, but again, that may be what we're thinking it. Insurance always goes up. Some salaries went up.
The contingency account is higher than last year, but pretty much in line with the year before, that was last year.
I took 5,000 out for, I want to say, contingency is,
It's under the half full mark.
there it is, 1990.4. I cannot remember what we took it out for, but we added the 5,000 to another line, and that's why I did it. This year I'm trying to hold on to it. We've done all right this year. We haven't, we've used a little bit of it. What else?
The police constable is about 10,000.
Yes, that is salaries. And some of this stuff, that's all salaries on that line. Their hours are up, and we have 5 guys right now. Their equipment is down, however, because we bought it all this year. And if you notice that the CE line is at 16, even though in 2019 it was 19. That actually was an error. That 3,600 was Carrie, our prosecutor, and it should. And I felt like it should be under the attorney, not under the police. So I just switched that out. Dog control CE went down. I took a little money out of sidewalks.
Why?
We haven't used it in a while. And I was just betting.
Well, we have the money right now to do anything.
No, we're trying to get.
Usually, yeah.
We're trying to get.
Yeah, 5,000 doesn't go very. But I tried to get a big grant for sidewalks. The first year it got turned down, so in the second year, yeah, no. It's a hard one to get. Looking for any other surprises here. Quite honestly, guys, I took adult recreation back down to 10. That's because we got into a pickle this year, and I don't want to get into a pickle anymore. So I think between the fact that COVID has basically ended a lot of our senior stuff, we could bet on that we're not going to use that. I don't think there's anything else. Medical insurance went down because the people went down and we saved money on our retirees. So that's why that's down. I did,
You think workers' comp's gonna stay the same? I doubt it.
pardon?
Workers' comp.
Workers' comp.
It usually doesn't stay the same.
No. That's an,
I don't know if you want to.
I did break out all the bonds so that you could see what we pay in interest. And what you'll notice is that on 8 North Main, the interest it went way down by half because the interest went down on the bond. We have a different kind of bond for 12 North Main, so that requires that we pay it down. And that's why that number is there. But I don't have to pay principal on the van. I rolled it over and I don't have to pay principal. So I didn't mark it because next year could be bad, and I just thought, well, let's not do it again. And probably the interest rates will stay. I think they will. So that actually, I wanted to pay that off this year. That's why I did a van instead of a bond. But then the pandemic and it turned out that interest rates fell. It was just lucky. Then we get into highway on the 3rd page. That, holds pretty much the same.
Yeah, we made a plan of what equipment we're purchasing.
Well, I can talk to you about that. I did some numbers today, with regards to the loader that I talked about and the money that we should have available from CHIPS. What I came up with, all of my CHIPS reimbursements with the exception of 2 have been put in. And we are seeing that 20% reduction in the reimbursement. So even with the 20% reduction, we have funds that were rolled forward that were unexpended from last year. That does not see a reduction. So for the rollover money from CHIPS, I'm going to be claiming $28,452 of expenditures from that. So that leaves us $61,804.62 from the previous year. From this fiscal year, from the 2020 to 2021 appropriation, with the reduction, we should have $73,084.02. So if you total those, we should have almost $135,000 left in our CHIPS fund. And obviously, at this point in the year, I cannot do the road project. With the budget this year that we're hearing, the CHIPS fund, we don't use it. We won't use it. So was $142,497. So you're looking at a difference of $12,000.
And then you can use CHIPS funds to buy equipment.
For equipment, yes, as long as it has a life expectancy greater than 10 years, which obviously.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
At this point, I would hate to see this.
Let's get it
For the CHIPS reimbursement, you would have to, of course, pay for it, and check that, and then submit the reimbursement. In terms of timeframes, when I obtained the quote from HOCAM on this capital, which is comparable to what we have now, he said he had one in stock, and that was 1st of September. So the reimbursement request, the cutoff for the expenditure, which would mean you would have to make that payment and then get that cancel check back before I could put this through. Our next deadline is November 12th to submit the reimbursement. That would give us a reimbursement payment from CHIPS for December 18th. If we go further, there is another cycle of payments, and that would be cutoff the expenditure date would be February 8th, I believe that is. We would get the deadline for reimbursement request would be February 17th, and then the payment would be March 15th. So there are 2 more cycles that we will go through. But I again would like to do my numbers. I did this quick today before I left the office. I'd like to go through them and just be absolutely sure of the numbers. But in terms of what we would need to put out from the town's responsibility, it's minimal to what we would get at. I did verify with the CHIPS representative that that particular piece of equipment based on its specs is eligible, and she said yes, it is definitely.
So we can do this in October, because we could, you don't have to bring there, approve it and get it November 12th, so.
Yep, and so I'll make sure what they have in terms of inventory tomorrow when back to the office.
I mean, I think it's no brainer. Well, no, but yeah, so.
So that's what I want to discuss, because it's, I think this is the best way to do it, because we cannot do, obviously, the road work at this point in time, where they would have to just go and pick the road block top, which is really not, we're meeting a little bit, this is definitely.
And we should be planning equipment, and we should be replacing equipment, and you don't want to be behind the 8 ball for your equipment, you want to keep doing things.
Now that brings me to where I had said, in my estimates, I included the other bond for the truck, which is actually going to be up this year, right, same on bond. So in the anticipated expenditures for 2021, I included that bond payment, thinking that if we were going to replace a piece of equipment, we may take up similar denomination for a bond, and left that payment in there. So depending on what we think or anything going forward, or if you want to move that to another line item, I just want to make you aware of that bond payment that's figured in there, which is essentially what we need to do over this one.
Well, how are we going to fund the repair on Dixon?
That I thought about this just fine. However, I think we're cutting it too close for that. That in terms of bidding it out, getting a contract, bidding the job, paying the job, and then getting the check back, and we're coming into winter. So I thought about that, and I don't know, you can run past Ray. I don't think that's going to be a piece of collection.
All right.
But again, that bond payment figure that's in there, you can also keep in there to put it, it's on bond.
Yeah, I'm really
fun.
I think we should, definitely.
There's also, when I was reviewing the budget, the health insurance line, I think is going to be a lot lower this year for expenditures, unexpended health insurance, so that's another hopeful way to have some money for the next year. So just trying to bring the budget out a little bit there.
Great.
But I think that as well. But yes, definitely with the equipment replacement plan, there is that paperwork included in my paperwork, and the lower was number 1. And I'll have to prioritize from there.
Do you keep your old letter, or do you try to sell that for surplus?
what I'd like to do, if we can enable it space-wise, I would like to keep that, because honestly, I got an Angel Pen trading value of $20,000 on that. You all know what we just spent to repair that thing.
It's worth it.
I'd like to keep that for snow and in the salt shed only, to preserve the new loader as long as we can until the old one doesn't make it. That's what I'd like to do.
That's a good idea, because if the salt is not touched on the new machine, that new machine gets an extra 3 to 4 years, right?
Yeah, I only have that now, it's not the biggest value, but it's 18 years old. It's up there, and it's been in the grocery. So, those are my thoughts.
Great. Thank you. The next to last page. That's the lighting district, there were no changes there. The water district. Has very few changes. There's hardly anything really in the water district. He went down, you can see the bond, that bond money in the water expenditures is the bond we're stuck with for the next 20 years. Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, I could go throw myself on the mercy of Green County Bank, but I don't know.
I don't think they're.
No, but-
Bought that.
And then you'll notice a little more appropriated fund balance than usual for the water, but that's because we had some money that we did not spend last year that could go to keep the rate down. So we ended up having the same rate. That doesn't.
I was trying to ask Mike a second ago too, but was trying to open those. Have you and Derek been chatting about, have you put in requests for the rec stuff? I know you've been talking about.
So for recreation, this year was crazy because a lot of programs and stuff we run, we weren't able to. And so I came today because I can operate with the same budget, but there were also just some ideas and plans that I had before COVID kind of hit that I'd like you guys to consider. The rec director salary line item is 10,000. I was wondering if we could consider bringing that up to 12,500, and then because that line item there, and then that would return the rec director salary to 10, and then I'd be able to pay the rec assistant 2,500, or the assistant director 2,500. The reason I was thinking of doing that is in terms of running different programs, like the senior program, stuff like that, just having someone be on the phone at all times and help coordinate that, I think would be helpful and could use at your disposal to help with the programs you already have going. Then I also wanted to talk about family ID, those kind of costs. Family ID we've used for registration costs about $1,500 a year. And then we also have the One Call Now call system. And I talked about it a little bit with Dara. I think it's $500 to have the call system. But I talked a little bit to Dara about it when this whole thing kind of started in terms of getting word out and stuff like that. Family ID, like we could create a sign-up sheet. People could want to be in like the town loop. And so then let's say there's an emergency or the highway department is, like they have the construction in town, we could have everybody sign up to be on that list, residents, whatever. Do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so the water district, we're putting that one up. So this one essentially, instead of the recreation pay, yeah, the town would town alert system as well, for everything that we have. If it was, water's gonna be out for this and this, you can pick and plug, like, who does get those, like, you can find the water, you can sign up, I'm in the water district. So you'll get that call. If you're not in the water district, you won't get annoyed, you know, like, you'll be able to pick and choose.
We talked about this at a board meeting, maybe not last time, but the time before, yeah.
And if it reads up.
And if that happens that way, then it kind of doesn't even really increase my overall salary because, or salary line items, because then the money we save from those programs being taken by the town for organization stuff, then covers the cost of paying the assistant director.
And that, you said one call now is 500 a year?
Yes, I'll double check
Yeah.
because I haven't, but I believe that's what it costs.
Okay.
Then the other thing, just a couple projects I kind of had in the back of my mind was, you know, down the road. I tried to make it happen with the banner money. It was a bit more expensive than I couldn't, but down the road, if we ever can, and I know with COVID, definitely bottom priorities, but dugouts for the girls softball field. And then I actually emailed there the other day, if we can, there's property that the town owns, that actually goes to Twin Island Lake. And I was thinking that would be a really good spot for like a walking trail or something, so people want to fish or kayak.
Have you been on it,
Do
Michael?
that. I didn't because I wasn't sure where the property line was, so I didn't want to trespass.
It's a weird little,
Yeah, so I actually have,
and it's marshy, just so you know.
yes, but even if I just put like the back of soda can lids as like a trail marker, so people know where the town property is. I drew it on my phone, so it's kind of a small map. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is the lot. That right there, the little green curve, that's where Twin Island Lake starts. That right there is the current Lions Club boat launch. And then right here is the last fields. I just drew a line in yellow. I had no idea what the green piece was, but I think a walking loop around that would be something that just adds a little bit of trails to what we have. And then if you just have, you know, a marked trail leading to the water, then people know if they're parked there and they want to kayak on it, they can use it. Because honestly, me and a couple of my friends who were looking for fishing spots, there's this app called Onyx, and it's like anglers and hunters, they use it to find public property. And this one came up, it was kind of one that I think is a nice piece of property, but that we could look at it and literally, someone like me likes to fish, like, as long as I know I'm on town property, I feel a lot more comfortable, you know, going, if I want to be in somebody's backyard, and just figured out something. I don't know what it would cost if we ended up having to, you know, either clear some brush or stuff like that, but those are kind of things that I'm looking at recreational, kind of low cost to use what we have. Like if it's super expensive, then it's just like, I'll literally just draw this map on Google Earth so someone can look it up on the phone and do it that way. I think that's a great, but I just wanted to make that one. I don't know what it would cost really to make a trail. I know I can do it for free. Tie caution tape around stuff, but if we want to make something that's a little bit more, you know, so people like if they walk around the lake and want to walk through their property.
We might need to post your map there, just like, too.
Yeah.
People can wait on.
Yeah, but, so that's kind of what I was thinking. I know COVID messed everything up. It's really uncertain what everyone has going on, but in terms of recreation, like, I can do whatever we need to get done. I was looking at stuff in terms of, and this doesn't really pertain to budget, but stuff overall in terms of forms and organizing stuff better. I think we'll be able to organize a lot more volunteer help. So even if, you know, in the future stuff goes up, we still have a good group of volunteers. And then my only and final concern is with the cost for running our beach, because every year minimum wage is going to continue to go up. And, you know, it might not be next year or the year after, but in a few years, you're going to have to be paying, you know, $15 an hour minimum for our rec assistants who do a good job maintaining the property, but we're going to eventually reach the point where we're going to need to increase increase that if you want the cover. And I've talked to you about different things, but that's kind of, like a 5-year plan in terms of ways to look at that.
So we just increased it as cost too, because they got us, they went this year, we hired them all at one place and we had to have an emergency,
Yeah.
okay.
And that, I don't believe really impacted our salary line item because the way we schedule it every year, there's bad weather days and unfortunately this year, a couple days where the geese were an issue. But if we're planning for a full summer, if we take care of that goose issue, that line item cap space will get better.
Where would you be at, so we don't know the exact in or around price of it, how was it paid for the issue? The town picked that?
Well, I'm trying to think of what line that would be. For a special project.
Would we be able to do things on the entirety of the lake or just about the town's own portion?
Well, the geese don't just sit. I think it has to be the lake.
But legally, we are allowed the town to initiate. projects like that,
On our property.
Yeah.
only on our property.
We must without a homeowner permission.
I think that's it's gonna be a journey getting buy-in.
Yeah.
Well, the DEC is the biggest thing.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, because really, I mean, the population is directly impacting our area. So I think the DEC realized that because I think in one of our meetings, someone mentioned how the goose population healthy for New York State.
Yeah,
is
instead of.
60,000. New York State has 180,000 or something crazy. So.
85,000.
Yeah, so it's even worse.
We had some bald eagles out there that
And only in the winter, they go on the dead ones and on the frozen lake, they go, but they're always a top.
All right, well, let's stay on point here. Any questions about the tentative?
So have you included some of those wish lists that you
I-
should put there for the?
I haven't included that in the technical, but like I said, if we end up changing stuff and whatever is decided in terms of moving the family ID, then I really don't need an increase in that.
Freezing up the line.
And then, like I said, I mean, the dugout thing, I don't know if that even, but that's kind of like a special project too. That's not really something.
What do we use the banner money for?
So the banner money really just kind of comes back to the town and covers whatever money the rec department spent. So I originally thought that I would be able in my contractual expense to cover the cost of a dugout and not detract from any of our programs. But I realized if I spend more than the banner money, then that's not really truthful in what I'm trying to do, So because originally I thought I could get the dugouts done for what we raised in the banner money, and that would make sense financially because we have the money to do it. But
Right.
in terms of that, I didn't have quite enough, and I didn't want to take the money away from our programs. And then a couple months later, it was the new year, we had COVID. So that's just something. And like, I'm not an expert on construction and that kind of stuff and costs associated. So I didn't, I wanted to just make sure we had stuff for our programs.
Isn't there gonna be a good round of that on the way?
So-
They sold them a 2-year.
So we did sell them in a 2-year thing, but.
You're gonna give them this year.
Yeah, we gave them this year at no cost, so if somebody didn't. So if you had paid last year for 2 years worth of banner, and, this year we really didn't have much of a season, we were able to have one that's almost ending now, but, we're gonna give them the credit for next year as that second. The rec park was used, but, I mean, actually probably more, so there probably were more people down there just in terms of people walking and stuff. But I didn't feel like that made sense to charge them again for a COVID year of advertising.
Makes sense. I agree. And do we
we ever formalize the change between our relationship with the Lions Club at all, as far as it goes to how we're renting that space?
That's
That's with Jen, right?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how the town has always done that. I just knew that the $1,000 was appropriated on that line item and was always used to cover the Lions Club expense. That was before my time. So I'm sure it's just an agreement with the town.
We just have to, you know,
We were waiting to get a letter from
Yeah.
Lions Club, right, to ask,
yeah,
to guide us on the structure.
they still haven't quite made that.
I
The line
can
was
also,
not at a meeting point, so I can't go
All right, if there's nothing else on this that's of interest or concern, I would suggest, going to executive session to talk about that.
I would move that we, adjourn, or we go through it.
We can, yeah, and we can adjourn at the same time so that we can come back, we're not gonna make any decisions tonight. So we have to adjourn first and then.
No, executive session. I make a motion we go into executive session. I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Second.
I make a motion that we adjourn after we come back. And then we adjourn after that.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to turn off the Zoom.
Judy should be so proud.
This bucket looks great, man. By the way. Easy reading.
All right, see you later.